Why do some people struggle with finding love while others seem to, have it come their way very easily?
Well, I think the emphasis there is that others seem to have it come their way easily, right? So it can look like it on the surface, but I wouldn't say that, the people that we see as having a lot of love, it might on Instagram look great. It might even as your neighbors look great because they go on their weekly trips or they seem to be really happy, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So at the end of the
Mm,
day, whoever you are, whatever form of relationship you're in, there's going to be contention. There's going to be obstacles because it's through relationships fundamentally that we get to really evolve and grow. So, love, it looks like people might get love, and for other people, finding love is tough. Really, ultimately, without sounding too cliche, what it comes down to is the degree to which you have love for yourself is the precursor to the degree to which you find love in the world. Life is a mirror, right? The external world is really reflecting the inner world. And so if you internally have the absence of love because you think that you're not enough, you're a bad person, you're not good enough, you're not wanted, you're not safe, whatever it is that has somebody live in a prison in their own head, there is the absence of love. And so that person energetically, literally, psychologically, emotionally, physically isn't going to be as attractive because they don't have any sense of true inherent self-worth. Now, sometimes people compensate for that, right? For a lot of girls, the pressure is on their beauty, right? So you've got the whole world of clothing, plastic surgery, makeup, hair. Like these are combined trillion-dollar industries, right? Where people, women particularly, are put under an inordinate amount of pressure to look a certain way as a means of trying to get love. But it's a compensation versus just loving oneself for who one is. Then that becomes the most attractive person in the room versus someone who's trying to be seen, who's proving, who's desperately wanting to get attention, which is the compensation for the underlying feeling of lack of self-love. So that's really the real game of love, is not about getting other people to like you, but for you to like.
What self love means, I think a lot of
Yeah.
people confuse it with self obsession or
Hmm.
arrogance. And so I'd like to define what self love is, if you can help me.
For sure, and I get it, and I have compassion for the pressure that, as you said, not just your generation, but humans as a whole are under, right? So the way that I define it, as I sort of just spoke to, is that true self-love is learning to love the part of you that doesn't feel lovable.
Mm.
And everybody's got that part. To some degree,
Hmm.
it might be subtle. For some, it completely defines their every waking minute, where they just feel like life is pointless and they don't want to leave the house and they don't take care of themselves because the part of them that feels unlovable is really, really, has through perhaps trauma become their defining identity. For most people, it's more subtle, right? It plays in the background and it kind of interferes with their sense of freedom and their sense of inner peace and their sense of possibility. But it's, they're still functional. It's like a form of functional anxiety that most people live with, right? They're a little bit worried. They don't want to upset their wife or the boss or the husband or their parents, but they still can manage to survive. So it's identifying that part within every one of us that is fundamentally based in inadequacy, insecurity, or scarcity that is really being driven by fear.
How would they know if they've found the one?
They won't.
Great. Next
Yeah,
question.
yeah, people love my bluntness. No, you never do. Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of life. The nature of life is uncertainty. You can only say you found the one through your own declaration, and you never really know that. To me, I always say whoever you're with is the right one for now.
Mm.
Right. And that's not in any way to dismiss the beauty of committing to a relationship. It's not to say, oh, okay, well, this worked for a week and I got what I needed, I'll move on. No, I want people to honor, especially in the case of marriage and vows. And, if you're really committing to someone, then commit because there's an opportunity for growth, even when the trying situations come to the surface, which they will in all relationships, right? So, but it's not about them the right one, because ultimately, at the end of the day, everybody's just a reflection for the true right one, which is our own liberation, our true self.
Mm.
And that's not, some people mishear that, right? And they think, oh, well, that's a sort of egotistical or even narcissistic way to look at life. But at the end of the day, we're all souls here to emancipate ourselves from the constraints with which we arrive. We're all helping each other. So when you're committed to somebody, that's why I said, then commit. And in that commitment, you're going to come across, whatever challenges you're going to come across that are the catalysts to grow together, to learn to overcome whatever self-righteous tendencies someone might have, or being aggressive or withdrawn. We all have our own little mechanisms of survival. But ultimately, there is no right one, because life is just the mirror for our own growth and evolution and expansion.
Oh, we've broken up. I've just wasted 5 years of my life, and it's not
Yeah,
at all.
no, not at all, because you were in that relationship for whatever it is that you needed to see, learn, and go through. There's
Mm.
never any waste of time, Now, if we were to pay attention to Hollywood and the likes of Tom Cruise and, You Complete Me, then of course everyone's going to think there's this right one. But if you really look at it, like just logically, right? There's 8 billion people on the planet. What were the chances that the one that you fell in love with and got married happened to be working in the same office building as you, or went to the same fucking coffee shop, or went to the same yoga class? Like, why weren't they in Istanbul or in fucking Iceland, or Australia? It's like, wow, that was so lucky. They happen to be in the same fucking zip code as you. Like, it's just stupid. There's so many
Mm.
people that we can fall in love with, as most people know.
Mm.
Sometimes people do it at the same time. They're already in love with someone else, and that's a whole different conversation. But yeah,
Yeah, I think people just love to romanticize,
of course.
and yeah.
And I get it. I'm the same. I'm a hopeless romantic, but I tend to, as I tell people, I have an intimate relationship with reality, not fantasy.